Welcome to a special stream that was really intended to mark 8 years of an anniversary that we all want to think about every now and again. But something else happened during this month. Something that a lot of Nintendo fans might remember. 30 years ago, a legendary high-flying fox made his name known. That's right, everyone. 30 years ago, Star Fox was born. So, in this stream, which by the way, I am not claiming ownership of Star Fox at all, so Nintendo, please don't go after me with your Nintendo ninjas. This is merely a celebration for a series that I, along with many other people in the Nintendo fandom, fondly love and want to see come back in a big, big way. As we all remember, back in 2015 we had Star Fox Zero and Star Fox Guard, both of which were, they were games, you know. And I'm not going to say that they were bad by any means. They weren't. It's just, can I be honest? I really, really want Nintendo to treat this series with more respect. So that's part of the reason why I'm doing this stream. The other reason why is simply because of the fact that I feel like rather than doing a stream focused on PlayStation Home yet again, which was the original plan, I would rather celebrate something that had a more honorary anniversary that really hasn't been talked about much, especially by the Big N themselves. Again, just to clarify, I do not claim ownership of Star Fox at all. This belongs to Nintendo. I mean, this game that I'm playing doesn't, but the actual IP of Star Fox does. So, as it says in the description, no copyright infringement or, copying in general is or ever will be intended. That being said, I have an alternate universe that I created back in 2021 called I can't speak. Radical Earth, and there are fictional games that are based on real life games. Those are all sort of like parodies, but they're their own thing. With that being said, though, please enjoy as we take a look at, well, something that I wanted to do for fun. So, as you can see on the license plate of the Deluxo here, we have R-Wing 1. You're probably thinking, wait, R-Wing 1? Well, who's flying it? You might notice a pair of eyes there. So as we fly towards the Del Perro Pier, in our glorious reimagining of Corneria City, which isn't Corneria City, this is all just for fun. I normally don't play with friends. I don't hate playing with friends, I just don't usually get the chance to. Although I do have friends that have this game on PS5, but I just haven't gotten around to playing with them. Yeah, so how about we go to Del Perro Pier and see who this mystery person is. I've taken some lessons online about how to recreate this marvelous character. This is my personal rendition of Fox McCloud, the legendary pilot and leader of the Star Fox team. And the Deluxo represents the one and only R-Wing, which is why I named it R-Wing 1 as a reference to how it's the leader of the team. I do have another vehicle that I'll be showing later in the stream that is a reference to a certain heavyweight champion in the Star Fox team, the Landmaster. I even named it that. Also, just for another bit of clarification, anytime I do a stream in GTA Online, I always turn off the music. Whenever I first started off, I would always have my friends turn off the music, because at that time I didn't think, maybe I should turn off the music. But, it's been several years since then, and I know better. But yeah, so anyway, um, yeah, so uh, again, just a disclaimer: I'm not in any way, shape, or form intending to infringe on the actual IP, like whatsoever. All of this is just for fun. I'm not even monetized on YouTube, so Nintendo won't get anything out of me. But something I do wish is that I hope they do end up doing something for the series this year, because we're talking about a 30-year anniversary. They've done 30-year anniversaries for Mario, for Zelda, Metroid. I mean, they're doing stuff for Pikmin, for crying out loud. We're finally going to get a new game after all these years. And the only thing they've done on Switch that is remotely related to Star Fox, other than the NSO stuff, is Starlink. And even then, that game it's alright, but it's nothing to write home about. It's not perfect, but it's not gonna blow you away, but it is pretty cool. Especially since it has a tie-in to Star Fox, even including some story elements that are not in any other version of the game. But anyway, so yeah. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well today. I'm doing pretty good myself. And I hope the mic audio is pretty good, because I always get worried about that, because I normally don't stream on PS5. That's not to say I don't like doing it, I just don't really do it all that much, unless there's something specific I want to do. And so I thought, you know what, this would be a good time, because we have the Deluxo, which is kind of similar to the R-Wing, only it can't do barrel rolls and it doesn't have lasers. But it does have the ability to fly, and it is similar to the R-Wing in some ways. You know, it's easy to fly, you know, all that stuff. And the funny thing is, just to add on to the stream and how much I was dedicating to this, like to the idea of doing a stream anyway today. So, as I stated before, I was originally going to do a stream to dedicate 8 years since PlayStation Home's closure on the PS3. Originally, I was going to get RPCS3 and a download of a Destination Home client for PlayStation Home, because I have done that before on my old PC that I used to use, but I couldn't really figure out how I did it. So then I was like, well, maybe I could do it in GTA Online. That ended up, well, not necessarily failing. It's more just the fact that I've already done it before. So I didn't want to do a rehash of something I already did 3 years ago. So I figured, well, what else had an anniversary this year? Star Fox. Initially, the anniversaries first started in February, I think, because that was when the Japanese release came out 30 years ago. Then 30 years ago, on the 26th of this month, was the 30th anniversary of the North American release. So, yeah. But, again, something I really dislike is that Nintendo only has just said, oh, hey guys, did you know that it's the 30th anniversary of this? Yes, we did know. Are you going to do anything about it? I don't know. And this isn't meant to insult Nintendo at all. They're probably busy with plenty of other things behind the scenes. So they probably do have something planned, because I have heard rumors here and there that they might have something planned, but you don't know for sure until it actually happens. And, yeah. Speaking of Nintendo, I am happy to say that I am going to be seeing the Mario movie next Wednesday because, something I forgot to mention. Guess who was a movie theater they live near? This guy. Well, okay, I should clarify. It's always been there since 2019, but it closed down back in 2020. Then 2021, it started getting repeatedly listed as permanently closed, and then it went back to temporarily closed. Then last year, it was announced that it was actually closed permanently. And then in July last year, or I think it was June, I forgot, but it was announced that a new owner would be taking its place, and it would still be a theater. And they were initially going to open in December, but that ended up not working out because they didn't have all their permits on time. So they ended up opening in January, and the name I'm about to say might sound a little confusing, so please don't get confused, because I'll clarify what it means. So, the original theater was Alamo Drafthouse. That is a name that some people have heard of, some people haven't. But then, after it closed down and got rebranded after it got new ownership, it became a B&B theater. You might be thinking, B&B, you mean bed and breakfast, right? No, it means Bills and Bagsby, I think. I don't remember what exactly it means, but that's the new theater. And I've been going there since the day after they opened, because they opened on January the 19th. And so I went January the 20th, just in time to celebrate the weekend, and I saw Puss in Boots. The second movie I saw there was, I think it was Shazam Fury. No, not Shazam. It was Ant-Man. And then last week I saw the new John Wick movie, which what's funny is I ended up going to the 2 p.m. one. But yeah, now I'm going to be seeing the Mario movie. But anyway, going back to the subject of Star Fox. Where does this series start off? Well, let's go back to the year 1993 on the Super Nintendo when a British developer known as Argonaut Software was in the process of making a prototype for a on-rails 3D shooter using some new technology supplied to them by Nintendo. However, Nintendo proposed the idea of, instead of human pilots, why not animals? And thus, the conception of Star Fox was born. And with that, we got the first Star Fox game in 1993. The graphics were primitive, and granted nowadays they're very much dated, but we're talking about a game that came out 30 years ago. That was the best they could do. But nonetheless, the game was praised for its ambitious new scale in terms of the graphics. You got the charming characters, you have the high-speed action of shooting down enemies in a amped-up starfighter. And there was a title that was going to be the sequel to that game that was initially canceled, but was then fully released in 2017, known as Star Fox 2. The funny thing is, that game is now available on NSO as a game for SNES, as that game was originally slated to come out on the SNES in 1995, but due to the looming release of the Nintendo 64, they ended up deciding on canning it, but still having the finalized release ready just in case they want to release it one day. Which leads me to the N64 and Star Fox 64, which introduced a brand new looking R-Wing, which this one is, this car is kind of related to what it's inspired by, because, it has all range mode and stuff. And granted, Star Fox 2 had that as well. And there was another vehicle that was added to the roster of vehicles. Now, technically, there were 3 vehicles that you would use, which are the R-Wing. There was a submarine called the Blue Marine, which you would only use once. But then we have the heavyweight champion that I was talking about earlier, the Landmaster, which I happen to have. I literally grinded most of the night last night and got it this morning. So, with that being said, how about we take a look at the Landmaster? It may not be the same as the vehicle in the game, but it's very close in some regards. For one, just like in the game... Oh. Why didn't it... That's weird, it spawned over there instead of here. But you'll see what I mean. You might already see it over there. But basically the Landmaster is a tank. And you might think, a tank? A tank can't fly in space, dude. Oh, it's not for space. It's for land. It's called the Landmaster. And that's what it does. It masters the land. So, this is the Landmaster, and it may not look exactly like the tank in the game because it doesn't have those big diffusers in the back, and it doesn't have an aiming turret. What it does have, however, is the ability to do a shunt boost, which is the replacement for the barrel roll, and we also have the laser. So, while it's not one-to-one with the vehicle itself, it's still very much inspired by what it is in the game. Even to the point where, you know... So that is the barrel roll. So we have Star Fox 64, so where do we go from there? Cue the next generation of consoles, the Nintendo GameCube, alongside 3 other consoles, which later became 2 due to obvious reasons. There was a console called the Sega Dreamcast that only lasted barely over a year. It was finally remembered as well, but we're not focusing on Sega, we're talking about Nintendo and this beloved series. So, what did we get on GameCube, huh? Well, I'll tell you. We got 2 games on the GameCube. We got Star Fox Adventures, a very underrated game that, while it's not perfect, it was still a very good game. Even despite its flaws and the fact that, yes, you might have already guessed by the username of this channel, it inspired a lot of, furries. I mean, I'm one of them, okay? But it wasn't because of that one character. But yes, it spawned the character Crystal. Otherwise known as someone I had the hots for back in the day, but I'm a grown-up now, so yeah, I still think she's cute, but I'm not the idiot like I was back in the day. Trust me, I ain't. But after that game, I think it was a year or 2 after, we got Star Fox Assault, which harkened back to the series to the series roots, but Adventures was the game that, you know, let people get out of the R-Wing for the first time and actually explore, and the flight missions were very much similar to the flight missions that you would see in the on-rail shooters of previous games. Assault had its fair share of open areas, or no, not open areas, the all-range areas. You would have the traditional on-rail shooter stuff, you would get to use the Landmaster in all range mode for the first time. It was great. And I think you could technically use the Landmaster in all range mode in battle mode in 64, but I haven't played Star Fox 64 since I had it on 3DS. But yeah. So then we have, well, was that? Oh. I've been informed that while there was a game on the DS, we don't talk about that one because it never happened. Oh, it can? Okay. So, DS came, and so did Star Fox Command. A hideous example of why you shouldn't combine Star Fox with RTS. It had various different endings, so we don't know which one's real, and we don't even know if it's canon or not. Which is why even Estelle Ellis, the voice actress for Crystal, yes, she is exactly that. She is the voice actress for her. You might have even heard her voice in Star Fox Event Horizon, which is a fan game. A very good fan game at that. She even said in her character's video that the game never happened. Because, like, everybody universally agrees that the game just ain't good. Like, nobody talks about that game. You know? But, what about the 3DS? Well, you're probably thinking, well, we got a new game, right? We got a remaster. Yeah, a remaster. Star Fox 64 3D. Which, mind you, was good because it allows me to play a game that I'd never played before on new hardware and with a better look. But at the same time, it's a rehash. Which leads me to the Wii U. Let's see, a tower defense game called Star Fox Guard? Blech. Star Fox Zero. What? You're telling me that you're putting in a mechanic in the game that was already a thing in the series many years ago that you never released until, what? 2 years later? Wow, Nintendo, you really dropped the ball on this one. And that brings us to now. It's been 30 years since the franchise first started. And we're wondering, will our valiant spacefaring heroes from the Lilat system far away ever make a grand return? Or will they be left in the dust by the Big N themselves? Well, only time will tell, but I'll say this. The franchise itself is still highly regarded by many as one of the most ambitious game series by Nintendo to date. Because with each game, it's brought something new. Yes, even Zero, even though Zero is not perfect. I will say this, though. Star Fox, in my opinion, is my favorite Nintendo franchise. Even more than Mario, even more than Zelda, even though Zelda is freaking awesome. Metroid, it's tied with Metroid because I've always loved Metroid. My first Metroid game was Prime, almost at Zero. But yeah, like, Star Fox is a game series from Nintendo that I hope gets the love it so desperately deserves. And I really do hope that you'll agree with me. But with that being said, that'll bring us to the end of the stream. I know it wasn't a tremendously long stream, but I wanted to make something to celebrate the series and at the same time have a little bit of fun. With that being said, again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys sometime soon for something else. So long, and have a good day.